we're going to be learning how to use our calculator to analyze some polynomial functions. So we're going to be taking our calculator, sketching a graph, finding our maximum and minimums, our intercepts, and then also giving the intervals where f of x is increasing or decreasing. So let's take out our calculators. The first thing I'm going to do is clear my memory just to make sure that my calculator won't mess up. So second plus 712. So that way, if anyone was using my calculator before, now my memory's cleared. I'm starting again from scratch. So once your memory's clear, let's go into y equals to type in our equation. So we're going to do number 1, 2x to the third power plus 20x squared minus 4x minus 30. So this should be in your y1. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is graph this function. So the hardest part about this is figuring out what your correct window is going to be. So there's a couple things we're going to use to find our window. So right now if I just press graph, it's not going to show me my entire function right off the bat. I see a part of it, but clearly this isn't enough. So to find my window, what I'm going to actually use is my table. So to go to table, I'm going to press second graph. I'm going to use my table. So right now, I know that this is x to the third power, right? This is my biggest power on my x. So this is my degree of my function. So because it's a degree of 3 and it's positive, I know that on both sides it should be going to negative infinity on the left, positive infinity on the right. So knowing that, I'm going to take my table. I'm going to go all the way until it should be going down all the way to negative infinity. So see how when I go up here, it's going all the way down to negative infinity. And so it keeps on going. So this is the part where it's going to be facing down, pointing down. So from here, I know that my graph should go up all the way until, so see how it's increasing and then decreasing. Because it's increasing and then decreasing, it should at least go up to, the highest number here is 292. So see how this is your y value, it goes all the way up to 292. So I know that my y max has to be at least 292 or above it. So I should probably say like 300. On my negative side, the lowest point it's going to is negative 30. So it should be, my graph has to include at least this negative 30 and at least a 292. If I keep going, it should be going up forever, just like my shape of my graph tells me. So if I know I wanted to go at least to negative 30 and at least to 292, I'm obviously going to use the bigger number, which is the 292. So I'm going to say it's going to go all the way up to 300. And then I'll just use negative 300 to balance it out on this side. So let's use that to graph our function. So let's go to our window. Our y min, I'm going to say, is negative 300. Y max is 300. And since it's going up to 300, I'm going to change my y scale. Let's say I want my tick marks to go by 100. Let's see how this looks. So when I graph it, now I can see the topmost point that's going all the way up to 292, right? Bottommost point as well. But notice how on this side I can't really see my x-intercept. I know it should be going all the way down. I can't really see it. So let me make my x's a little bit bigger as well. So instead of negative 10, I'm going to use negative 15 to positive 15. And I'll make my x scale go up by 5s, just so there are fewer tick marks. Now I'm going to graph it. So good. Now I can see it going all the way down like it should according to my shape. And it's going all the way up as well. So this is the entire function because it's going down on the left, up on the right, and here's the middle part, which is important. So let's graph this. I know that this is going, my tick marks are going up by 5, so this is negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, 15, and each of these is worth 100, 100, 200, 300. And I'm just going to draw my graph. It looks like the graph is going straight through the negative 10. Going up, almost to 300, back down, and up again. So this is a sketch of my graph using my calculator. And now I'm going to use this graph to label my maximum and minimum. So in this problem, I only have one maximum. A maximum should look like the top of a hill. This one is your max. So to find this point, I'm going to use second calc, and maximum is number 4. So I'm going to press number 4. And then since I'm looking for this point up here, I'm going to go all the way up here. This is my maximum. The first question they're asking you is left bound. So I'm going to first go to the left side just a little bit, just slightly to the left. Press enter. Right bound means I'm going all the way to the right now. Again, just slightly to the right of my maximum point. Press enter again. And then guess I'm going to press enter. And it should say maximum, and then it'll give me my point for my maximum. So in this case, my maximum is negative 6.7, and we always do 3 numbers after the decimal point, so 765. Because the 2 rounds to 5, just leaves it at 5. And then we have 293.161. Don't need to round because there's a 0 after the 1. And this is my maximum. Now this graph also has a minimum down here. So we're going to do the same exact thing to find our minimum, except for we're going to go second calc. This time we're going to go to number 3. So be careful you're choosing the right one, because the most common mistake people make is they'll choose the wrong one of these, and that'll give you the wrong answer. So minimum, now we're going to go to this point. Again, we want to first start on the left side of the point. So first go to the left, just slightly to the left, press enter. Now go slightly to the right, press enter. Press enter again, and it should say minimum, and it'll give you your point. So again, 3 decimal points, so 0.9. This time that 5 after your 8 is going to round it up, so 0.099. And then negative 30.198. So here are our min and max. Now the next thing we're going to do is find our intercepts. So we're going to need to find both our x-intercepts and our y-intercepts. Our y-intercept is really easy to find because it's just 0 comma something. So on we could even use our table to find this. 0, our y value is negative 30. Notice it's also just the constant in your equation. Right, so your y-intercept is 0, negative 30, because if you plugged in 0 for all these x's, it would give you negative 30. Our x-intercept, a little bit trickier. We're going to use, again, go to second calc. We're going to use the button number 2, because a 0 is the same thing as an x-intercept. So we're going to press 0. We're going to go all the way to, we have a couple of x-intercepts to find. It's where it crosses the x-axis. So you have 1, 2, 3 of them in this function. Let's go to our first one. So left bound means you want to be on the left side of your x-intercept. So here's my x-intercept. Go slightly to the left of it. So in this case, that's going to be underneath it. Press enter. Right, so slightly to the right of it. In this case, it's going to be above. And then press enter again, and it'll give you your intercept, which is negative 10.05. Again, round 1. Remember, this e to the negative 11 is just a really small number, so we're going to round that to 0. So whenever you see that e, it's really 0. And we're going to do the same thing for our next 2 zeros. So now, second calc 0 again. Let's find our second one. So for this one, left bound, when you go to the left, it's actually going to be above it in this case. Right bound, go to the right, it's going to be below it. Press enter. You have an x-intercept of negative 1.197 because you're rounding it. And then one last 0, we're going to do the same thing, second calc 2, and we're going to go to the left side of this one. So left side of this one will be underneath it, right side of this one will be above it. Press enter again, and we have an x-intercept of 1.247, comma 0. So here are all my x-intercepts and my y-intercepts. And now I'm just going to find letter C, which is the intervals where f of x is increasing and decreasing. So it's increasing and decreasing. We actually have all the information we need already. We're just trying to figure out what part of this graph is increasing and decreasing. Let's start off with increasing. So increasing is when this graph is going up from left to right. So again, it doesn't matter which direction the arrow is pointing, it's just from left to right. So in this case, it's increasing from here to here, and then also from here to here. So you have 2 sections where it's increasing. So we're going to use the points that we already found to describe these intervals. So the first interval is from negative infinity up until this first point. We're going to use the x value, so negative 6.765. And then the second point is going to be starting at this point, our minimum, which is 0.099, and then it keeps on going to positive infinity. Which means for decreasing, the part that's decreasing now is this section. And just like before, we're going to use our x values. So it's from negative 6.765 all the way till 0.099. And now we have analyzed this function fully. We're done with number 1. Okay, let's go on and do number 2 now. So for number 2, let me start off by clearing my calculator because I want to just start all over. So second plus 712. Reset my whole calculator. And I'm going to go to y equals and type this in. So be careful with this first term here. It's negative. Be careful you don't use the minus button. You use the negative button. So negative x to the 4th power plus 3x to the 3rd minus 2x plus 4. Okay, so right off the bat, I know this is a negative function, and it's a degree of 4, which means it's even. So it's going to be pointing down in both directions. So when I go to my table, second graph, it should be starting at negative infinity. So if I go up like this, yep, see how it's getting more and more negative? It's going to negative infinity. So from negative infinity, let's see, it's going all the way up until 4. Seems the highest number it's reaching is 4. And then on the right side, it's going all the way down to negative infinity again. So it seems like for this one, it's not going that far up. So let me just use my original window, negative 10 to 10, negative 10 to 10. Let's see how this looks. Press graph. And you can see the entire function in this window. So this is fine. Right, so in your table, because it didn't get any bigger than 10, we can just use that. Well, here it goes. It goes 2, 4, 4, 8. So 8 is actually your biggest number it reaches here. So 10 is fine. Here's our graph. We're going to use it to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10 in both your x's and your y's. And let's sketch it. Great. So once we have this sketched, we're again going to label our maximum and minimum. So in this problem, there's more important points than we had in our first one. Because if you look at your maximum, top of the hill, there's actually 2 hills we have here, right? This point and this point. So both of these are maximum. We're going to have to find both of them. So let's start off by finding this first one. So second calc, we're going to go to 4 because we're looking for the maximum. So it's this point right here, this hill. So slightly to the left, enter. Slightly to the right, enter. Guess, enter again, and you get a maximum value of negative 0.432 and 4.587. This is your first maximum. We're going to find our second one, so second calc again, go to 4 again. Now we're going to go up to this one up here, so this hill. Slightly to the left, enter. Slightly to the right, enter. Enter again. And we get a maximum of 2.141, 8.148. And we do also have a minimum here. Our minimum is this one down here, bottom of a valley, right? So second calc, we're going to go to number 3 now. And so down here's your minimum. So here's the point I'm looking for. Slightly to the left of this point, enter. Slightly to the right of this point, enter. Press enter again. And we find our minimum is 0.541, 3.307. So here are my important points, my maximum and my minimum. Part B, again, I'm going to find my intercepts. So x-intercepts, y-intercepts. Y-intercept is easy. it's just this number right here, so 0, 4. You could also use your table to find it, because on our table, 0, 4, that's my y-intercept. My x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis. How many do I have here? 1, 2. I got 2 of them, so let me find both of them. Second calc, 0. I'm going to go to this point first. I want to go slightly to the left of it, enter. Slightly to the right of it, enter. Press enter again. It gives me my 0, which is negative 1.149, comma 0. Find my second one, so second calc, go down to 0 again. This time I'm going to this one. So I'm going to go slightly to the left, slightly to the right. Press enter one more time, and I find my 0, which is 2.926, comma 0. And those are my x and y intercepts. And my last step here is just to find the intervals where it's increasing and decreasing. So again, the increasing is when I'm going from left to right, it's going up. So it doesn't matter what direction this arrow is pointing. This section is increasing, and also this section. So I'm going to have 2 intervals. My first one goes from negative infinity until this first point, which has an x value of negative 0.432. And my second interval starts at this point, my minimum, which is 0.541 to 2.141. And my function is decreasing in this section and this section. So again, I'm going to have 2 intervals. My first one is from negative 0.432 until 0.541. And my second one is from 2.141, and then it keeps on going, so to positive infinity because it's going to the right.